Hey, what's up? John Sonmez from simpleprogrammer.com, and I got another book review for you. I don't know why I did that right now. But anyway, if you don't know what I'm talking about and you want a whole crap load of book reviews I've done this year, you can check out this playlist here where it has all my book reviews. Some of them are crazy ass books like Dianetics, which some of you just hit the downvote button without even watching the video. What is wrong with you? Open your mind, people. Gosh, come on. I expect a little bit more from you subscribers here to open up your mind and be a little bit smart. And no, I'm not buying into Dianetics, but it's a good read. It is, really. You should educate yourself, not just listen to what other people say. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about a follow-up book by someone who has written a very successful book that I've recommended several times called Influence. That's his old book, and his name is Robert Cialdini. He is a PhD professor, I forget from where, psychologist, social psychologist. I sometimes don't like social psychologists, but I like this one. And he wrote a book called Pre-Suasion, a revolutionary way to influence and persuade. And I read this book recently because his original book, which I'll point to here, called Influence, is pretty much phenomenal. It's pretty much like the book on influencing people, and everyone in the marketing circles references this book. You'll hear it a lot of times. So I had some pretty high expectations for this Pre-Suasion book, and I have to say I've got mixed thoughts on it. I was a little bit disappointed, and I felt like the book was created because of the success of the first book. I needed to create something else. It took a long time for him to create this book. He admits it in the book that it was delayed by like 3 or 4 years. It has some value. Essentially what the book is about is this. It's like influence was about the different things that influence people, from the reciprocity type of thing. So if I give you something, if I do something for you, you're gonna feel obligated to do something for me. You can manipulate that in a sales sequence. Consistency with what you've already done. Again, lots of sales tactics and things like that. But persuasion was about pre-priming, was about this idea that before you even get to that stage, before you're even really interacting with the person and get to the kind of influence things, there's certain things or priming that you could do. What kind of things persuade someone, pre-prime them to be influenced by you ahead of time or influenced by circumstance, right? Again, some of this you could use for dirty, bad things, but this is important to understand from both the consumer and a selling perspective. It doesn't, just because you're using influence or persuasion on someone doesn't mean that you're a bad guy, right? You're not just a bad guy, you're using tactics that work, especially if it's for the benefit of the person, right? It's being cognizant of these things. You can abuse them, yes, but just like you can use a knife to cut an avocado in half, or you can use a knife to stab someone in the face, right? It's still a knife. I'm just going to use the word knife. I'm not going to say gun because we're not going to get into that. But anyway, so persuasion is essentially about this. It's about this idea that, look, okay, you have the things that you do ahead of time. So there's a lot of I always knock these social psychologists, social studies that they do, but there's a lot of them that back this up. It's like, if you think of talk to someone about a really large number, like $1 million, and then you ask them to buy a coloring book for $29 versus you don't do that, they're more likely to buy the coloring book for $29 because that seems cheap now. Okay, there's more than that in this book. Some of these things I think are very, I have this problem. I did this, or I don't know if I did the review, but I read this book called Willpower. And again, it had a lot of the social psychology thing. It had this study about drinking lemonade and how your blood sugar influence your willpower, and it was limited. Since then there was a study that actually disproved that willpower was finite. And so I question all of these things, right? But there's some solid advice in here, right? There's a few things that it's like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. So I think it's like, I don't know. I don't want to say that it's not worth a read. Like, if you're really interested in influence and marketing, then this is worth a read, right? His first book, Influence, that's worth a read no matter who you are. You should read that book. This one, I'm not entirely sure. I think there's some value in here, to be familiar with some of these things, but I wasn't that excited about it. I mean, I can't lie. I honestly, there wasn't anything like super foundational. There's like a few points in here. Let me look at the table of contents and see if there's anything that sticks out here that I would really, let's see. Oh, great. They don't even list a table of contents on Amazon. It's just like a, oh wait, no, it's got it. Okay, so what do we got here? We got him making a lot of excuses about why the book's late. Privileged moments, like certain moments where you've got an opportunity that you wouldn't have to influence someone. He mentions that he got delayed writing the book because someone who he gave him an opportunity to get this job or at this school or did these favors for him, and then they asked him to teach this master's level course, and he couldn't say no because they had this privileged moment, this window of opportunity there. Getting people's attention, obviously. A lot of it is focused on what you focus on. So if you get someone to focus on, this is actually probably the most valuable part of the book, is the idea that what is focused on tends to be what is important. So like the media does this all the time, right? They focus an issue and they're not necessarily giving you trying to push the answer to the issue, but by changing the focus, what is focused on tends to influence you greatly. So if you want someone to make a decision in a certain way, you just get them to focus on a particular thing that is like that decision, and then they're very primed for that. That I think is very true, and it is not social science bullshit. I think that's actually very true. And then he's got a bunch of different different things in there, and then there's things about associations and persuasive geographies and things like that. So there's a few different good principles in there. Another one is unity. I think if you can get people to be together or to act together, that's definitely true. That's definitely, I think, a solid one. So there's some solid stuff in here. It's just that it's not quite as potent as the other one. I guess when you write a really good book like you did, you have high expectations for the other one. So the other thing that I'd say, the book has, like, the last two chapters really talk about ethical usage and persuasion, and I feel like he just justified the hell out of it. Like in that chapter 13 on ethical usage, it's just total baloney. Like, come on. He's trying to make up all these reasons why you should do this. You shouldn't use these unethically, and he should just, I don't know. You just can't make justifications up for it. It's like, I don't know. They're very weak arguments, is what I would say. And he just kind of put that in there, I feel like, because he needed to, because he felt like people would be upset about this, and the media gave him a bunch of crap about his first book. But I would have rather seen that chapter left out, because I just didn't feel like, I feel like it was like an obligatory chapter instead of one that actually had merit or value, and that kind of weakened the rest of the book for me, at least. Maybe that's why it left me with a bad taste in my mouth for the rest of the book, is because it was like justifying this stuff. It's like, no, don't tell me, don't give me some BS why I shouldn't use this for bad. Instead, just be like, look, here's a tool. Like, you decide how you're going to use this, and we don't need to couch this with some BS excuses. It just doesn't make sense. It's kind of treating your audience like a child, I think. So anyway, overall, I don't know. I give it like a halfway thumb book. It's a decent read, not the best, but if you're a marketing person, yeah, you got to read it, because this is one of the essential essential books, right? Because this is Robert Cialdini, right? You already know. If I say that and that means something to you, read the book. If it doesn't mean anything to you, skip it and go on to the next book. You got a short life. You got only so many books you can read. You don't run for maybe 8 hours a week like I do. Listen to books at 3x speed. So anyway, that's it. Again, Pre-Suasion by Robert Cialdini, and I would like it if you click the subscribe button. That'd be very nice. If you like these videos, definitely subscribe, and I will talk to you next time with another book review. Take care.